This is my opinion as someone watching global politics closely. As a journalist, I want to talk about the situation involving the United States and Venezuela, and why it has created so much confusion, anger, and polarization, especially here in Canada. Many Canadians see any U.S. involvement abroad and immediately assume it's about imperialism or control. That reaction is understandable. History gives people reasons to be skeptical. But Venezuela's crisis did not begin with the United States. For years, Venezuela has been ruled by an authoritarian government that concentrated power, suppressed opposition, and presided over economic collapse. Hyperinflation, food shortages, mass migration, and human rights abuses didn't happen overnight, and they weren't caused by sanctions alone. The reality is more complex than U.S. bad, resistance good. At the same time, global politics matter. Russia, China, and Iran have expanded their influence throughout Latin America by supporting regimes that offer access to resources, strategic locations, and political leverage, not because they care about democracy, but because it serves their interests. This is not unique to Venezuela. It is part of a broader geopolitical competition that includes South America, the Arctic, and increasingly Canada itself. South of us, the United States has taken a hard stance against authoritarian regimes, arguing that corruption and abuse must be confronted. Whether one agrees with every method or not, opposing tyranny is not a radical position. What is concerning is how these global conversations distract Canadians from asking difficult questions at home. Canadians are often encouraged to focus outward on foreign villains, while avoiding uncomfortable discussions about housing affordability, job scarcity, healthcare strain, addiction, and declining trust in public institutions. Criticizing the United States is easy. Questioning our own leadership, policy choices, and long-term priorities is harder, but necessary. This brings us to elections, transparency, and trust. Canadians are repeatedly told not to ask questions, especially when it comes to elections, foreign influence, or global power structures. But asking questions is not extremism, it is democracy. Around the world, there have been real cases where election technology companies have faced investigations, lawsuits, and allegations of corruption in foreign countries. That alone should make any democracy cautious. Canada uses electronic voting tools at the municipal level. While there is no proven evidence of manipulation in Canadian federal elections, transparency still matters. Trust in democracy depends not only on secure systems, but on systems that are seen to be secure. Democracies do not weaken because people ask questions. They weaken when people are told they are not allowed to. At the same time, Canadians are struggling in ways that cannot be ignored. Young people can't land interviews. Housing is out of reach. Wages lag behind inflation. Addiction and homelessness are visible in every major city. Mass immigration without matching infrastructure, housing supply, healthcare capacity, or job creation puts pressure on everyone, newcomers and longtime Canadians alike. This is not anti-immigration, it is a policy reality. And it raises serious questions. Why are population targets expanding faster than jobs, housing, or services? Why are communities absorbing growth without the resources to support it? Why do working Canadians feel increasingly replaceable in their own labor market? At the same time, billions of dollars are being committed to foreign conflicts, including ongoing support to Ukraine, with limited public debate about long-term costs, oversight, or trade-offs at home. Canadians are allowed to ask, why does there seem to be endless funding available abroad while basic needs at home remain unresolved? How are priorities being set, and who is accountable for the outcomes? These questions become more complicated when senior political figures who shaped Canada's economic and foreign policy continue to hold influence internationally. Chrystia Freeland, a central figure in recent fiscal decisions, remains active on the global stage and now plays a role connected to Ukraine. That alone is not wrongdoing, but it does invite scrutiny. Should Canadians not be allowed to ask how money is allocated, how decisions are made, and whether domestic consequences are being weighed with the same urgency as international commitments? This is not about being anti-government. It is not about conspiracy, and it is not about choosing sides. It is about accountability. You can oppose war and still acknowledge that authoritarian regimes devastate their own people. You can criticize U.S. foreign policy and still recognize that Russia and China do not act out of goodwill. And you can care about global justice without ignoring domestic failures. My point is not that any country is a hero. It is that the world is not divided into good guys and bad guys. It is divided into interests, power, and consequences. If Canadians want better conversations, we need less tribal thinking and more honesty, especially about the systems we live under ourselves. Because democracies do not collapse overnight. They erode when people stop asking questions or are told they are not allowed to. Canada deserves better conversations than that.